Namaskaram, everybody, and welcome to reading from Agasthiyar, The Path, written by Anuradha Gajaraj Lopez. So today's topic is going to be on what is karma from the section under karma. Sage Agasthiyar, the deeds we do in our lives may be of benefit to others or adversely affect others. The good we do is good karma, and the bad is negative karma. The result is the fruit of these actions. Those that follow the righteous path shown by the great ones will experience favorable results. Those that follow the evil path will likewise experience negative results. The good and bad karma that a person has gained through his actions return in his causal body during consequent reincarnations. What cannot be predetermined is the period when a person will experience the results of his karma. The duration of karma results are determined by the person's reaction to these experiences. Karma is like a debt. Debt needs to be paid off in time. When that does not happen, the person is born repeatedly to finish off that karmic debt along with interest. If a person pays only a fraction of his debt with interest, he will have to experience rebirth several times to pay off the debt in full. When a debt is paid off, one need not carry it over to the next birth. One is free of the karmic debt. When a person suffers over and over, it is best to view it as a debt being paid off completely. Such a person must with his full heart give thanks to God that he is being liberated from these debts, at least in his next birth. Then, addressing Gajaraj, Sage Agasthiyar said, when a person is born with his karmic burden and is undergoing the results of his actions, why are you troubled? It is only because of attachment. Remove such attachment and distress from its very roots. Once each person completes his karmic debt, the person will experience a period of peace. Until then, can anyone change the person's destiny? Neither I, nor you, nor anyone can do that. Why do you weep to see others paying off their karmic debts? Isn't it best that their debts are being paid off? Why worry about it? If people suffer because of the karma they have incurred, why are you perturbed? So just to explain this very simply, I think this passage really speaks for itself. And we all know about karma. We all know that when we do good things, we get good karma. When we do bad things, we get bad karma. And we all know also that we need to pay off these karmas. But how many of us truly embody that? How many of us truly know that? Because even though we say, and we use this word very loosely, if we do something wrong, then karma will catch up with us. But do we actually embody that? Are we actually afraid of this accumulating of negative karma and knowing what happens to us? No, we don't. So we need to be constantly reminded. Yes, we know that you do bad and bad will come to you, and you do good and good will come to you. But we need to be constantly reminded, because it seems as though we forget, because our neighbor does something to us and we already have like 10 bad words to say about them or to them. Or even in traffic, somebody cuts you off on the road and there's anger and there's words being shared, or, cheating, stealing, betrayal, all these themes come up. Had we fully embodied this knowledge of karma, then we would be afraid to even do any harm to the next person. We would be afraid to even raise our voices to the next person. So I think first and foremost, knowing about karma is one thing, but fully understanding, embodying it, and constantly being aware of what will happen to us if we incur negative karma. This would be the secret to go forward. And as Appa very nicely says, that karma is something that you will pay off, whether it is in this lifetime or whether it is in the next birth. But whatever you incur, you have to pay. And this is the very essence of birth, that we come here to pay off our karmic debts. You cannot run away from it. And it's just a law. It's the law of life, that whatever you do comes back to you. So he reminds us again that we take birth only to pay off these karmic debts. And like I said earlier, even though we know this, we keep incurring more karmic debts. So by fully embodying, we need to understand, we need to know, and we need to pay off these karmic debts as soon as we can. Because truly, it is such a waste of life, it is such a waste of birth to keep coming here and accumulating karma and coming each life to pay off the debt. Wouldn't it be nice just to finish the karma and then enjoy something different, enjoy the bliss, enjoy the peace, enjoy the good health and all that which is good karma. So also another very interesting point that appeals to me is when Appa explains to Gajaraj Swamigal that when the next person is suffering, why are you perturbed? Why are you suffering? In fact, look at it as that person paying off their karmic debt. And, when he talks about attachment here, when he says that the reason we are troubled, it is only because of attachment. So what attachment is he talking about? In my perception, the attachment he is talking about is our attachment to this illusion. Because of the ego, because of believing that everything in this reality is real, and we experience this to be so real that we get affected by it. And when we understand that the world is illusionary and it is not the soul that is suffering, but it is the ego that is suffering and that needs to detach, then when we look at other people going through their negative karma, we understand that the soul is evolving and that the attachments of the ego is diminishing. So, and like I say, that suffering is nothing but a blessing from the divine. It is our yardstick to measure how much of negative karma we are actually burning. So, and I think that's a very important point, because we all get so caught up in everything that's happening in the world, the latest plane crashes and bombings and, all the wars that are going on and people losing their lives. But don't forget, they chose the lessons, they chose the themes that and the ways that they wanted to address their karma in this life. And it was all their individual choice. So, so we, once we understand that and once we accept that, then I think that can help us even to burn our own karma positively. So I'll just continue with karma and rebirth. Sage Agasthiyar, when a person is unable to achieve or fulfill his desires, he is given an opportunity to do so in the next life. The soul is a particle that has emerged from the macrocosm. Because the soul is the microcosm of the macrocosm, it does not wish to adhere to the unrighteous actions and seeks to liberate itself from karmic reactions, and desires to return and become one with the macrocosm again. In the current world, many do not even have the desire to understand this. This is called ignorance or maya. That is why only a few seek to understand profound questions like, who am I? Where did I come from? Why was I born? When a baby is born, it is born with innocence. It does not commit any sins when it is born. It starts understanding this world through its senses after birth. It learns how to live in the outside world based on the examples set by parents and surroundings. Once it has gained understanding, even if you place water on fire on its path and ask it to choose one, it will choose to walk on earth. While the child is growing up, it learns from the examples set by its parents and elders. It is only when the child becomes responsible for its own actions does its true nature and desires come to fore. That is when the child acts based on those intrinsic values. During the discourse, Anuradha asked questions related to the topic, and Sage Agasthiyar responded, do specific karmas have specific effects? You have asked a question that I think will be posed to you when it comes to explaining some points regarding righteousness. You are asking this question not for yourself, but for others. Let me give you the answer in a simple manner, so it is easily understood by everyone. Karma is the actions of human beings. The results are good or bad according to the type of action. It is an accepted fact that karma is carried over to the next incarnation, since the fruit of these actions will need to manifest itself in the ensuing incarnations. Vedas call this parabdha karma. It is the karma carried over from previous births. There is also karma that results from actions in the present life as well. The effects of these actions can be felt either in the same lifetime or future births. Karma is an action that stems from feelings and thoughts. These in turn are directed towards others. Before answering your question, let me explain why a person commits bad actions. It is important to remember that action and reaction are different. Action is what a person performs. Reactions is in response to the action. This can be compared to a stone thrown into a pond. Throwing is an action, the sound of the splash, and the ripples are the result of the action. It is the response of the water in the pond to the impact created on its surface. Once again, it is important to analyze who aimed at the stone and for what reason. Imagine a person sitting on a mound and throwing a stone into water in dejection. In this case, the action is not intentional. The person has performed this action without awareness. Such actions are excused. Take a second example. A person picks up a stone and throws it with full strength into the water. In this case, he is aware of what he is doing and also knows that the particular action was not necessary. Therefore, such an action is subject to punishment. Keeping these two examples in mind, you can analyze the actions of humans and discriminate between the two types of actions. A person need not give much thought to unintentional, innocent, and spontaneous actions. So I will stop here because it's quite a long passage to read, and I will explain from here. So basically, again, like he is saying, is that every action has a reaction, and whether it is in word, thought, deed, we are constantly creating either good karma or negative karma. So we need to be so aware of our actions, our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And as we have already said earlier, that all our karmas of this life will determine our next life. And those karmas that we don't burn in this life, we will have to burn in the next life. So even in the case of young children, I mean, sometimes there's a baby that is born and the child is disabled. And we know that this child has been born this way with the disability due to past life karmas. So these are examples of karmas being carried forward into the future lives. So yes, so again, Appa is just reminding us that the reason that we create karma, and that is because of our desires, our wants, our needs. And when we feel secluded from the divine or disconnected from the divine, it's the ego that takes control, and this creates the desires and allows us to get so involved in the illusionary aspect of life and create all the insecurities, the agitation, the irritation, all the problems that we go through, all the karmas that we incur. So one can only incur karma, again, because of the bottom line is the ego, the needs, the desires, the wants of the ego. So when we fully grounded in knowing that we are the divine, when we fully grounded in knowing our true selves, that we are the soul, and our cup is full of divine love, of unconditional love, and acceptance for all beings, and understanding that each soul is only here playing out the role of their karma, and everyone is doing the best that they can to resolve their karmas, then only with love and with compassion can we experience another's karma and not add to theirs or ours. And when I say add to theirs, sometimes somebody is going through something and, we provoke them. We say things to provoke them. We judge them. And in doing so, we add karma to them and to us. So, yes, again, he explains that as a lack of embodying the divinity within us. So I will continue to read from where we've stopped. In life, many people unnecessarily react to such negligible and pardonable action of others. Take the example of a small child. The child is walking through a street and sees a flower growing in someone's yard and plucks it. What is your reaction? Would you scold the child or ignore the action? People ruin their peace by reacting to such trivial actions of others. And I must say, this is so true. There's so many times when no reaction is actually required, but because our cups are so full of our own karma and, misunderstanding, that we tend to make a noise or make a drama out of nothing. And when we don't understand ourselves, we don't understand the next person. So we maybe somebody said something to us and it wasn't as intended, but because of all our past conditioning and our past traumas and our past experiences, because that's what we are ultimately. We are nothing but a collection of our past memories, our past conditioning, our past stories. So what we are doing is we are reacting from there. And 9 out of 10 times, that trivial karma, which, like I just said, the person doesn't mean, they say something and it's not meant the way we took it. And a small thing just becomes an explosion, and so much of karma is added for no reason. So let us take another example. A person throws a stone at a rock. What happens? Nothing. Nothing happens to the rock. The stone itself may break if it is brittle. If you are calm and do not resist another's action, the deeds that are aimed at you will dissipate like a broken stone. The lesson here is not to react to the action of others, even if you think such actions hurt you. So again, very important, whatever your cup is full with, you will react to another's action from there. And, it is so true that the lesson here is not to react to the action of others, even if you think such actions hurt you. And we may not act out of an action, but how many times we are reacting in our thoughts? How many times we are reacting in our hearts? Like, I don't like what this person is saying. This person has hurt me, and we silently, curse people or wish bad upon them because we don't have the guts to speak up sometimes. So it doesn't mean always that if you are not reacting, then, I am a great person because the person in front of me doesn't know, how much I am cursing them in my mind or my heart. So there's all these things to watch out for, because even though you may not be reacting, but that burning pain in your heart and bad intentions in your thoughts, again, it's as good as creating karma. It's as good as speaking those words and thoughts out loudly. So we need to be very careful in what we are thinking, what we are acting, what we are reacting, what we are saying. There is a third category where if the stone is thrown into a mud, the mud allows the stone to sink into itself. In this process, the stone is not broken, the mud is not shaken, and everything remains calm. Such an attitude requires a refined personality to absorb insults and criticism of others. Such a person will take everything calmly. Once a person who aims the stone knows that he cannot hurt the mud by his actions, he will not attempt it again. In short, I have explained 3 categories of actions. Now let us see how reactions are produced. So before I go further about how reactions are produced, again, once we know who we are, once we know we are not the soul, once we understand and embody fully that it is the ego that is suffering. It is not the divine within ourselves. Once our cups are filled with unconditional love, nothing can shake you, because no matter what is happening, no matter what is said, you know who you are. You know you are vibrating from the energy of the soul. And nobody can touch that, So this is something that I think is so important. This is a very important step to not being shaken, to know who you are, that you are a divine soul. You are full of unconditional love. And everyone is going through their problems, their lessons, and how a person is reacting has got nothing to do with you. They are merely venting or reacting from their conditioning, their traumas, and whatever their cup is full of. So when your cup is only full of compassion, unconditional love, and divinity, then how will you react to them? Because you're understanding their situation. So let us now look at the reactions that are produced. In the first case, if a person is sensitive, he may react in several ways. He may respond with a sudden reaction to the action. This is when such a person loses control over his mind. Such a person is not able to discriminate. Such a person's actions are uncontrolled, especially if he is both emotional and sensitive. These types of actions result in fights, whether they are verbal or physical. Many murders are committed owing to such actions. So a person with a sensitive mind is very, very far away from himself and not rooted in the divine within himself. So hence, every little thing can trigger him because he has forgotten that he is divinity in a human form. This person is reacting from a space of ego, from his conditioning and from his trauma. In the second category, the person is sensitive but does not react outwardly. This is more damaging. Such a person keeps ruminating over the incident. Since he is unable to react, this may influence his reactions and lead to misunderstanding in the family, thereby ruining the peace in his house. Ultimately, this destroys his mental health and the happiness of his family. And exactly like I said earlier, sometimes we are not reacting out loudly, but in our thoughts and in our hearts, we are burning with hatred or anger or, bad thoughts about the next person. And here, Appa agrees that it is just as damaging and dangerous. The third category absorbs the action and remains unruffled. This is how gods react to millions of abuses aimed at them by ordinary human beings. This is also the way a mother absorbs the tantrums and complaints of her children. What is it that makes a person act? Consider what makes a person act by keeping in mind the example I just gave you about a person throwing stones. We need to observe every action that we perform in our daily life and understand the intention behind our actions. And exactly that, a person that is calm, a person who knows who they are, a person who is rooted in their divinity will not react. We've already discussed that. And, it's like the Lord Jesus Christ, if I may. He was, he had to bear insults. He bared his death, on the cross. Yet still he never reacted. Yet still he never swore at anybody or cursed anybody. He just remained rooted in his divine self because he knew who he was, and he knew that it's not the soul that is being touched, but the ego that was being destroyed. And yes, and a beautiful example, as Appa says, as a mother when her child throws tantrums. So those of us who are mums, we know when our little ones goes through the terrible twos, especially. And just understanding ourselves, just knowing who we are, just understanding what karma is, and again, not only understanding but fully embodying it, fully embodying the fact that, like when I started this discussion, I said that, and I would like to end with that when we fully embody it, when we remember it all the time, when we fully understand it, going forward, we would not want to create any more karma, whether it is thought, words, or actions, because we know that this is the law. What you do comes back to you, and this is the reason that we are born. Because of all the negative karma that we have incurred, we keep coming back every life to pay for them. So on that note, I would like to thank you all, and we shall continue again next week. Namaskaram.